Hello, beautiful people. We're back again for another episode of Age of Awæcnian Soulful Stories Unveiled. I love when we have two different guests on because the vibe, there are synchronicities that kind of flow and there's beautiful alchemy that happens. And I know we're going to be talking more about this medicine and this energy with our beautiful guests. But how are you feeling, Flea? I legit was just at your house not long ago and drove back to be here. How's everything flowing with you?
Very exciting. I love getting to meet new people and just seeing how in sync our dreams and our hopes and our desires are. Like this passion that gets to be ignited is fabulous. Like having these conversations and just seeing how more and more people are wanting the same. And that there is what I would say gives me hope. And this is something we were just talking about, this idea of hope being kind of a double negative because it's something that we don't know to be true and it's outside of ourselves. But at the same time, it's inspiration. And that's what the hope means for me. It's this inspiration that things are really shifting into a more desirable and just harmonious way of being.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And our next beautiful guest, Nicolette. Oh my goodness, she's an inspirational woman who I met at another event. I think she presented one of the awards. I don't know if it was one of our awards or one of the ones that we were nominated for or something. But there was something in her story that resonated, and I was like, I need to just say hello to this lovely lady. And Nicolette is originally from the Netherlands and is an emotional alchemist. She's also a speaker and has a beautiful array of background. She loves to work with women who are feeling the stress, that sense of overwhelm, the overworked, and really help them come back into their sense of self and identity, awakening to their soul's purpose. And she's a consultant, a global speaker. She loves co-creating magic across many spaces and places with her beautiful business. And welcome, Nicolette. How are you going today? Yay! All the cues. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a great honor to be here. I'm very, very excited to be here.
Oh, beautiful. And we're in the pink vibes today. All the naturals. We've got the green, feeling the nature vibes. And so I know we've also had chats and there was lots of beautiful synchronicities. You said synchronicities before, Flea, and there were so many parts of the stories that we've shared in other chats and the vision that you have for growth for the people that come into your field and supporting really beautiful ways of connection and business growth, but also for humanity. And I was just really blown away at the depth of your story, and we get to share it with the listeners. And so, Nicolette, we'd love to dive a little bit deeper into, how your journey of awakening, I suppose, started for you. It's a big question. Let's dive deep into it.
Great, dive deep in. That's what we love to do, dive deep in. There's been so many moments, of course, but I think my main one was really when I was still in the hospitality industry, the luxury hospitality industry. And I was running these amazing, incredible luxury resorts all around the world. And I was in the wellness retreats as well. And that was the irony about it, like running all those beautiful retreats, but I was completely and utterly burned out. No energy. My body was breaking down. I had pains and aches, and I had all these complications within my body because I was so stressed. It was just go, go, go constantly. And I was really in my real masculine energetics all the time to do this, get this done. I needed to report to a board of directors and owners, and high pressure and expectations on myself. What other people put on me, but I also put on myself, as we always do. And I was like, all of a sudden, I can't do it anymore. Enough is enough. And it was a big realization when I actually got fired from my dream job, thinking that I was like having this dream job and thinking I had everything I wanted. I had the position, the power, the money, the title, you name it. Everything was in my field, but I was still not happy. And then I was like, what else can there be in the world? And then I got kind of my dream job. And we moved overseas to Asia, and we're working in this beautiful wellness retreats. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, you are not what we're looking for. And I took that on as I'm not good enough. Don't we all do that? Have we not all done that? And even though they didn't say that, that was what I took out, because I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough? Have I not got everything you needed? And it took me quite a few years to actually move through all these layers I put on myself of not good enough, and so much childhood trauma came out and everything else as well, that I go like, well, hold on a minute, this is not who I am. This is not me. So what is it, and how can I change that? That I was like, okay, everybody else can have what I want. Why do I not have it? And not having as a materialistic thing, but it was just definitely a physical, spiritual awakening I was looking for. I wanted more in the spiritual way. And I was like, I didn't care about the big house and the car and all that stuff anymore. I was like, that doesn't make me happy. Because in the past we have been backpacking around with a backpack for 2.5 years on our backs, and that was the happiest time ever. And I'm like, that's what I want again. So that backpack made me happier than the big house here on the Gold Coast. So for me, it was really getting my body back in alignment with my body, mind, and soul. And I came to a point as well. I turned 40, and I was like, what do I want? What is life going to bring me? I've been in this luxury hospitality for so long, but it doesn't serve me anymore. It doesn't give me joy. I'm not excited anymore. I'm just frustrated. And that's not how I wanted to feel, because I love the industry. And I still truly believe there's beautiful parts of it. But
Yeah.
it was tough for me to just say, no, no more for me. And it was actually when we were relocating to the Caribbean and living right next to Richard Branson. And everybody's like, this is the dream, living on an island, blue skies, blue ocean, and, the celebrities and the rich and famous around you. But I was used to that because that's what I saw all the time. But 3 hurricanes later, nothing left standing, and I didn't have my job. I lost my voice for a reason. My grandmother passed away, and my computer crashed. And I'm like, well, how many signs do I need in 1 week? This is really not my path anymore. And I became really still. I need to listen more to the messages that are coming through. And I didn't know how to, because I was distracted with all the outside noise, and I didn't know how to be still and calm. And I went on this really deep journey of feminine awakening. And as you can see, my book is right there, part of the Awakened Feminine. And yeah, it went just from one to the other. I started with going to some of the seminars of women talking about the feminine awakening. I had no idea what the word even meant. I mean, English is my second language, but still, I was like, what is that? Soul realignment and the soul purpose. I'm like, I want that. And I want to grab something of it. But how does that look like? And I came to the realization I don't need to know, but I wanted to know. And I started to read a lot. I went to so many seminars. I did every modality in the world you can think about, because that's what I did while I was working at the wellness retreats as well. So I became a breathwork facilitator. I did my master's NLP. I did my feminine embodiment facilitation training, all these things, and not just learning, but also embodying it, as well as actually being guided and coached by so many beautiful humans around me in all these different modalities. And then I was like, there's only one thing what I really need to do, and it's coming back to me and who I am. We're peeling off all the layers. But then it was really, I did a lot of the shadow work. It was really the integration and the weaving together of the dark and the light, because the good, bad, and ugly is still part of me, and I'm still very proud of it. I need to own it, not disown it. And it's that acceptance
Mm.
of all who you are, not just the light. We can't just be in joy. We need to be in sadness. We need to be in fear. We need to own it all. The jealousy and the shame and the guilt and everything. Until that happens and it kind of weaves in together, that's when everything fell, because I distracted myself from the outside and went inside.
There's so much in that, Nicolette. Now,
Mm.
Flea, she also pulls cards as well. And so what came up, Flea? Like synchronicities, boom, boom, boom. Tell us, Flea, what's come up for in the
Yeah.
cards.
You pretty much just described the entire spread that I did as I was shuffling before we started. I was like, oh, okay. Yep. You've mentioned that and you've mentioned that. Okay, cool. So I'm just going through going, okay, I don't even need these anymore because it's already done. But the conflict and defeat was tied in very much with the obstacles and challenges card. And right as I look down, it says on here, learning to not be the victim. And you were talking about that victim mentality, and that all of this disaster like has to come to you to make you want to change, to make you want to do something else. And so many people are trapped in fear with this. They're stuck and scared to start new things, but it's that indication, really, like when all things are going chaotic and you're just going, no, this is crazy. I need a change. I need something different. That's the universe telling you you need to rest, rejuvenate, and go back to your authority, which was the card that was upside down on the bottom, that authority of self that led to all of this beautifulness. And pretty much what you said here with the spiritual strength and that intuition and that guidance that has ignited this passion within you. How phenomenal. Like, this is just the theme of today, is these heart-wrenching moments, these disaster areas, these moments of chaos that lead to this ultimate transformation that just allows you to live your greatest life. And that is just so remarkable. Whether we know the language or not, it doesn't matter. It's the experience we
Yeah,
get to have.
I love that.
And I
I
love
love
what you said, Felicia, because I do a lot of quantum human design. I use that in my coaching and everything I do in business and life and everything as well. And as soon as I've been really embodying that, it's actually, and I've actually done keynote speaking about this. Of the keynote topic is actually master of disaster. And
Yes, I
you
love
to
that.
just skim that out, and that is in my quantum human design as well. It's the master of disaster. As soon as I master something, it's done. And I've gone through, like, besides the cyclones that was happening, I've gone through 6 cyclones physically, not just in my head and everything else, what a cyclone can be. But as soon as you master, you kind of become,
I love that. Not just in my head.
yeah. And I think, you just become that inner peace, and that's when you
Mm,
find inner peace.
Mm.
oh,
And I really found that a year and a half ago, when I spent like 6 months, I said that to you before, 6 months caring for my mom who had dementia. And she didn't even know how to express emotions. And as an emotional alchemist, I'm like, Mom, what does that mean? And she said, I don't know how to cry.
oh,
And my heart kind of
Mm.
broke. And I was like, Mom, and I hold her hand. I said, let's do it together.
mm,
And
Mm.
just the change to see within there, and how calm I was to actually see that, and to be
mm,
able to cope with somebody like your mom having dementia and just being in a totally different world, but I've been in there as well. So I understood exactly what she was going
mm,
through in different ways.
mm,
And then be able to see when she was hallucinating and seeing things completely different than what I saw. It's like she saw a stone man on the couch. And she
Mm.
said, "Can you see him?" And I said, "No, Mom, I don't see him." I said, "But if you want him to leave," she said, "just open the door and he will go." And then she was like, "Oh, that's nice and calm." And I'm like,
Yeah.
in her, she mastered the disaster of what she was thinking. And then she
Mm,
was this whole calm,
Mm.
beautiful woman again. And she was
mm.
able to express the emotions. And I would
Wow.
never ever been able to be so calm with my mom if I hadn't done all the work.
Yes. And
That's
God.
when I found, when I came back 4 months later, unfortunately, as you know, my mom had a fall and she passed away within 12 days of me being there. I
Mm,
slept next to her on a little mattress on the floor, holding her hands, and we're still talking about these beautiful things as much as you could talk. And the
mm,
veil was getting thin, and I could just see, like, I don't want to wait till I rest in peace, as we say when people pass, till I
mm,
find my inner peace. I want that right now. And that's been a quest for so many of us, to find that
mm,
lifestyle balance, work
mm.
lifestyle balance, the balance of the masculine and the feminine. But at the end, it's the inner peace and the inner
Mm.
happiness. And
That's
that you
it.
can only do that when you turn into yourself and who you truly are, and don't care about everybody else, what they think about you. Just be
I love
you.
that. I love that, Nicolette. Even that
Mm.
that beautiful story with your mum and this analogy of, well, you lived it with the cyclone, and we think about the metaphor of the cyclone and the calm within it. You know, when they
Mm.
talk about the eye of the storm and that inner peace, where you talked about like you've lived the chaos, you see that reflected in your mother's internal world, and like you finding that zen within yourself to then help the chaos around to help her find her inner peace. Like, this is the mastery of the divine, like the divine feminine in the divine chaos. And
Mm.
part of the feminine
Mm.
essence and the wildness and the rewilding is to own, like you said, the disasters, to own the chaos part of ourselves, the messy expression, the emotional sides. And Flea and I were talking, I feel like this is the theme for today. It's like mastering the art of this depth of emotion, because there's a richness in understanding like this on this level over here. I'm just trying to get the screen, and the other side, which is the peace, the calm. In order to receive and appreciate that, there's almost like this initiation into understanding what all of this is, so that when we do find that inner peace, that calm, there's this beautiful sense of bliss at that same essence of, how do we come back into that when the chaos can continue around us, and be that guiding light, because it's in that darkness, in the shadow work, in integrating, like you said, all of those pieces of us that is human, to really come back into anchoring that into the body, into the mind, into the spirit, and reclaiming that. And
Mm.
that's the feminine that I love diving deep into. And I can feel Flea. I've been having a few little glitches and delays, so I'm just like, breathe, it's all good. But yeah, it's been a theme, hasn't it, Flea?
Absolutely. And I think this beautifully ties into how I started this, which was that word of hope or inspiration. And it all ties back to those memories of love that, Nicolette, you were just talking, like, hearing you talk about your mum, it like warmed my heart. And it's like, this is hope. This is what it feels like, that emotional intelligence, like being able to go, that's it. That's the feeling. That's where I feel the wholeness. And it's in that, how beautiful that moment where so many, find that disaster so overwhelming that they can't even celebrate those last years of life. Like, I've heard the flip stories of dementia and how
Yeah.
much it separates people, and how beautiful that, your awareness, that strength in yourself, that spiritual gift, that trusting your intuition and this work led you to have that experience. Like, that's the hope that I'm craving in my heart for, that, we get to celebrate more moments of those memories of love, of celebrating each other and knowing that, yeah, there's been tough times, but we also choose our parents, we choose our experience. So if we're choosing it, it's all for a purpose that is far greater than anything we can comprehend, and so much more beautiful. So that like
Yeah, and I think
ties it in with the love is tied to that emotional capacity.
and I think I wanted to tap into that even further to explain when you talked about humanity and what really happened. Um, so I was back after 6 months. I came back to Australia. My mom was in a nursing home, and a whole other story that how quickly I manifested her. She changed into another house within 2 days, not 2 years. She got into the nursing home within 3 weeks, not 2 years waiting on a waiting list. It was just incredible. People were like, "We've never seen this before." And I was just really calm. I'm like, "What's the next step?" And I was in the system and everything else. I couldn't help that. I needed to do the regulations and the bureaucracy of the Dutch, system, and that's fine. I just needed to go through. I said, "What's the next step?" And they said this. I said, "Oh, can you do that?" Yeah. And within days, everything was organized. And people said, "I work here for 20 years. I've never seen that." I said, "Well, if somebody needs to be the first, let my mom be the first." But it was also impacting the whole town, and we call it a village, but we call it a town here in Australia. Everybody was like, "Wow, what are you doing in Australia?" It was this magic lights coming into a dark city and a dark town because everybody was still talking about all the lockdowns and all these things, and everybody was so in fear, and the lower frequencies, and the lower dimensions and everything else, and everybody was like, they didn't even look you in the eye and everything else. And here I come, I'm like, "Hi," giving everybody a hug and a kiss and everything else, and looking after my mom really intimately in that respect. I lived with my mom 24/7 and everything else as well. And the whole town came alive. They said, "What do you need? How can we help? Can we paint the house? Can we help you with the floors?" And because we had to lay floors and everything else, well, we needed to move my mom twice. "Do you want to
Mm.
use my truck?" All these kind of things. People just came, gathered together as a real community again. And they hadn't, because it was separated for the last 4 years. And even in the nursing home, the staff were so overwhelmed and stressed and short staffed, and all the issues you have in healthcare, of course, you can only imagine. And then all the stress everybody has with dealing with the families and everything. And then me coming in, kind of being part of it, and the team, like helping and guiding them how to go through them. I had their staff crying every 5 minutes and coming to me, "Can you help me? I got this, I got this, I got that." So the support I could give to just the whole town and the whole community was just incredible. And even weeks and even months later, my dad went back to town, which he doesn't live there anymore, but he said, "People are still talking about it, what you all did for your mom." And he was in tears that he was so proud of what happened. And I said, "Is that not normal?" And apparently it's not, because you look after your children till they're about 18, but looking after your elderly mom who got dementia is not really common. People lived around the corner, and they didn't, like kids lived around the corner my age and didn't come and visit their family. They were around the corner. I came from the other side of the
Mm.
world, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. There is no barriers of countries or borders or anything. At the end of the day, we're helping humanity. So even just me helping my mom, we helped the nursing home, we helped the staff, we helped the management there, we helped the town, the village. And it was just beautiful how that light came into that dark tunnel and actually started to shine and illuminate the
Mm.
whole humanity. And it was just a little part, but you can see how it illuminates.
It's the material harvest there. And what you were talking about, it was just like pure prosperity. That material harvest, when it's not just about wealth, it's about the, like you said, that community. That is so lovely. It's something that I've actually strived for my entire life, is that sense of community in that manner. Like I've lived with a lot of families, and I've always seen it as an outsider. It's like, oh, like these different cultures have all of these ways they connect, and it's so beautiful. It's like, why in Australia are we so separate and so isolated? It's like, I don't understand. Like, we've literally got the nicest country around. We have the nicest reason, like all of these things, and yet everyone's just, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to look after my neighbor, and I don't really care about whoever lives down the street, and don't talk to my kids, and It's so horrible and so isolating, and it's one of the areas where it's not nice to be an Australian. It's like, where is
Mm,
that community? Where is that sense of togetherness that we're all actually seeking? Because it is beautiful, and that harvest that you get to have, that's so amazing to see the celebration just through the actions of love.
Hmm. And I said as well, like the relationship with my mom has not always been the greatest. I've been not the nicest daughter, and we've had our moments as always. But at the end of the day, my mom came every day to me, grabbed my hands, and said, "Can we have our little chat?" And I was like, "Oh my God, mom is not talking about her emotions, and I'm the emotional alchemist, and here we're sitting holding hands and talking." And it was all stories about the past. I learned so much about my mom I never knew because all these stories came back up. But she needed to release those stories because she was before she was leaving this world. And she
mm,
said, well, all of a sudden, at the last couple of days, she said, "Which door do I need to take?" And I'm like, "Oh, the veil is getting very thin." And she saw her brothers and sisters already passed over, and my mother-in-law and everybody else. And I said, "Mom, can you see them?" And she didn't say anything. And then she just said, "Oh, but the coffee is ready," because that's that community. Everybody came for coffee in the morning. And she said, "Are you coming with me?" I said, "No, Mom, it's not time for me, but I will always be with you." And
mm,
I really felt the angel sitting next to us. I spread my hands like this, and I'm like, "Mom, it's time." And I didn't even say that, it was just an energetic saying. And I just handed her over literally to the angels, and she left.
mm.
And it was the most amazing moment. And the whole experience, I've been so grateful that I could spend 12 nights laying on this little mattress, holding her hand day and night, didn't even sleep lots. And it didn't matter. I didn't need to sleep. I had so much energetic vibrational frequency to hold that space for both of us. Time and space were just an illusion.
Mm.
Just didn't matter. It's just all blended in one.
Oh, so beautiful. I've got goosebumps and the veil thinning and the fact that, it's interesting. You said, I'm always going to be there with you. And normally, like, we hear the stories of spirit or people past, telling the living that are here that they're always here with us. And it is vice versa. But you're the first person that I've heard that flip of, like, I'm always going to be with you on the other side as well.
I've chosen
And
mom, and my mom has chosen me, so it doesn't matter. I always say we're spiritual beings living a human life, and my mom was already long gone before she physically gone with dementia. It wasn't my mom anymore. When I saw her after 5 years again, that was not my mom, how I knew her, because this is, and I won't go into further details. What we do is prevent that. But anyway, so she had that, and she's been always a very intelligent, very strong woman. And to see her so pendant on me at that time was very hard. But that's why I said my mom was already gone. But then when she physically left this world, the body was still here, but it was just a body. It's not my mom. There's nothing in. The soul was still here, but has moved on. And I really felt that. I could see it. I can see her now. I can feel her right now. That's just for me. It was just really beautiful. And you will always will see you again. And yeah, all I kept saying was like, "Don't wait till you rest in peace, till you find your inner peace." And that's the thing. Live, enjoy life. What I said in my book as well, it's a journey. It's a journey without a destination. We don't need to get anywhere. We need to
Mm.
enjoy the stops. It's like a stop train, not like an express train. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the life, enjoy the journey. It's over before you know it. And it's going very fast. As we know, the frequency of the earth has changed. Everything has sped up. Time is just kind of an illusion, as I said. And the frequency, you need to align your bodies with the new frequency of the earth to keep up. And that's why a lot of people don't keep up, and that's why there's a lot of disease and mental health issues. That's what I truly believe. But if you don't want that and you don't see that, that's fine. But we are here
Yeah.
to plant seeds and have people come on the journey and see and open their eyes. And when it's opened, and you can never unseen anymore what you have seen.
Yeah, so true. And this piece about frequency, like, I feel
I
like
love that you brought up that mental health.
oh, the delay, sorry, Flea. You go, and then I'll weave in afterwards.
It
Maybe
glitched.
I'll weave it both in. I think we're all glitching a little. It's the high
It's all right.
frequency, ladies. We're all the high frequency, and the tech isn't keeping up with us.
No,
And
we're more powerful than that. We're way more
that's
powerful
it.
than AI.
But that piece around
No.
frequency and the body, and also I think what Flea was maybe going to dive into is like mental health and these thought patterns and looking after our body. There is a ripple effect, and a lot
Mhm.
of that I feel is like acknowledging the emotions, looking at the past, but then it's also knowing that the past doesn't frame who you are now, and you can make choices to change and elevate and choose differently and shift the lenses and shift the gears of your own life. And it doesn't, you don't need a cyclone to do that,
No.
and I think it's people like you, like having platforms like this where we can share these stories and share other ways of seeing life and encouraging people that tap into this to make the changes and be, dedicated to themselves, because the body is so amazing, what we are capable of, and the frequency and the vibration that we are gifted to be in essence. We're born at that high frequency, and things over time shift it, but doesn't mean we can't, you know, be learning new things at any age. So, Flea, were you going to add a little bit
Mm.
more to that with what you were going to share?
I was just in agreement with that aspect, like suffering with mental health. So many times it's like, oh yeah, there's something like wrong with your biology. I'm like, no, the problem isn't so much it is in here, but it's what I'm experiencing out there that causes the dissonance in my body, the detachment in my body. Like it's what I'm seeing does not match with what I know my soul desires and needs. My soul can see that love is the way and kindness is the way, and yet around me all I'm faced with is turmoil and people hating each other. And it's like, my body just screams at me going, I can't live in a world like this. And that's that mental health. I can't live in a world like this because there is no hope away from that. But it's not. And this is where I kind of get um frustrated with the medication of the thing. Until we actually physically realize that things can change to improve that, and we start working towards it, that's the separation, not the medication. We don't need to avoid it. We actually need to dive into what it is that's causing it. Because once we recognize that, okay, it's not actually the bit of fluff on the floor that's driving me crazy, it's the fact that I'm not being heard in my authenticity, in my truth. That realness really allows us to get to the bottom of that mental health that keeps us in that cycle. And Nicolette, I know you didn't touch on it, but that energy of what causes these disease is that trapped emotion. That bit of fluff on the floor to me meant that nobody was listening to me. I was the only person that was responsible for the cleanliness of the home, and it drove me up the wall. It's like, why am I the only person that sees that? It was a silly thing, but the problem is once I had that medication, oh yeah, the piece of fluff's still there. The piece of fluff was there for 6 months after taking medication because I'm not picking it up now. It's not my problem. I'm not dealing with it. I'm fine. The issue was still there. The problem was still there. And it wasn't until I went, okay, no, that's not my responsibility. And this is our house and we all need to care for it. Then the issue changed. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't dive deep into what was the main issue. And the main issue was the disrespect, that it was all placed upon me and that my voice wasn't being heard when I spoke up and said something. It's like, please help. please help, is what most people are saying. Please help by
Mm.
not being cruel or harsh or unkind. That's the dilemma that we face right now. And it's solvable, and not through medication. It's through really diving deep into those shadows, into the chaos. As you said, Nicolette, like that chaos is what transforms us. It's what really shows us what we want and what we desire. And that's mm,
Yeah, and I feel as well what it was for me as well. I put a lot of expectations on myself, as we all do, and we think that other people give that to us. And I felt like something needs to change. I need to change. I'm not a good girl. I'm not this, and I'm that, and all the negative things which was in my head and what I spoke about and what I focused on. So I got more of it. But it was not that I'm a bad girl. It's not that all these bad things and negative emotions are needed to change and just get rid of it and be completely different. It is actually the opposite to me. For me, it is actually going back to who you truly are and owning again that all you are. And nobody is perfect, and we don't want to be. We don't need to be. We just need to be ourselves. And instead of putting the pressure, I need to change. I need to change. I don't do this right. Not right. Not right. And all the time, it's like I just banged my head against the wall and I stepped myself so many times because it was like, I'm not right. I don't do this right. I need to change. I need to change. I need to change me. What do I need to change about me? I'm like, well, no. I just need to respect myself and honor myself and accept and respect and appreciate myself, who I am fully.
mm,
So it doesn't mean I need to just change for the sake of changing and become like completely different. I need to change my perspective. But I don't need to change me. I need to change my perspective. And that's actually what is going on in my third book is Eagle's Eye, um, which is looking from an eagle's point of view. So we sit in different chairs, and I always say to everybody, look around and see what it is. If I look behind me, I look to a blank wall. I don't want to look there. That's why I'm facing here, out to a beautiful garden with blue sky and grass and kangaroos hopping around and everything. So if I keep on looking to that blank wall, I never see the grass. So it's changing my perspective. But then if I've seen different perspectives, so sit on your chair, Marie, and then sit on your chair, Flea, then I want something else because we want more, more, more. We're never satisfied enough and we're frustrated. We don't have everything we need and we think we need to be at a certain level at a certain time in our life. But when you start looking as an eagle and put your wings out and then actually look down on yourself and on your life, what you actually have done and how beautiful you are, and interweave that again together because that's who you are. So you don't need to change. You
mm,
automatically will change. You actually change back to the beautiful little girl I've always been before I was born, before I was made, before lifetimes ago. Because that's what it is. And we put so much pressure on ourselves. I need to change. I need to change. And the comparison, and she got that, and he got that, and I want that. And that's what I did for so many years. And it's exhausting. And that's why we're stressed out and burned out. It's exhausting to
mm.
compare yourself and to live up to those expectations from other people. And this monkey shit in your head, I always call it. Yeah.
Ah, the bird's eye view.
Yes.
There's always another perspective, and it's beautiful that I think Flea and I, when we look at animal wisdom and the shamanic side of things and the power animals, we both have eagles that tap into us. There's other, Flea's got beautiful big owls. There's phoenixes and these
Mm.
other amazing ways of looking at the world. And like you said, it's like changing your lens. And I know Flea and I talk about this all the time. And like the little girl or the little boy, you're always curious and it's meeting that inner child. And we literally like an hour ago were talking about the little girls within us and allowing ourselves to play.
Yes.
And and this is why we also love working with children as well. And I think Flea was sharing a story of a workshop we did. I'll let Flea share and how she dressed up and embodied that. I'd love for you to just share that little story, Flea, as we're talking about the little girls inside.
Yes, as we have to do on live. Yeah, cool. So we were running a beautiful little drama workshop, all around identity and imagination. And part of my perception and what I do, I love to use makeup in creative ways and to really become the character. So for this particular workshop, I was an 8-year old. And when I came in my overalls with my freckles and my pigtails and I sat down and introduced myself, I was 8. And what I got was, "You're not 8." It's like, "Yes, I am. I've come here to be part of this, and today I want to be 8. We've just spoken about imagination and how anything is possible. So today I want to be 8." And with that became the 8-year old who I got to play and I got to do cool little things because I'm 8 today and this is so fantastic. It's the energy behind the characterization that allowed the workshop to just unfold in such an organic way that the kids got to explore, and they had that permission to be silly because I was showing them that it was possible. Anything was possible. And it's these moments of
Mm,
just, who cares? Like, really,
yeah.
I'm gonna pull a funny face, I'm gonna freeze with my mouth open and look silly and
Yeah.
all the things. It doesn't matter as long as you're being authentic to yourself.
And I think that piece around expectations that you were saying, Nicolette, as adults, it's like I heard this beautiful saying from someone, I don't know who, but it's like the only person you need to impress is the 8-year-old version of yourself, you
Hmm.
know? And if you can impress her or him and that essence of you be proud of you, no matter how silly or how like whatever it is, and if the 8-year-old version of yourself is like, that was freaking cool,
Yeah.
that's all that matters, that value, the self-worthiness pieces, the confidence, all of this inner wisdom that the inner child brings and enlivens within us. And this links to, I suppose, that holy trinity when we think of the divine feminine, the masculine, but also that inner child. When we get to like harness all of that energy within self, then it's amazing what else we get to master and then exude out from that place of play and joy. And you've shared, both of you have shared beautiful examples of that in your own lives, which is amazing. And we need more of that. We need to embrace the inner child, the little girls and the little boys within us, and play more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's when you're around children, and I don't have children, but I'm still a mother of many. And when I have friends come over, and even like last weekend, we had two beautiful girls staying with us, our friends' children, and we just played and we ran around in the garden and in the playground and everything else as well. We like running like crazy and dancing and everything else as well. And people were like, "Looking, what is she doing? How old is she?" I'm like, "I don't care. I just still that little girl." And I think that's what I say to my clients all the time. That's that feminine embodiment we need to do. We need to be playful. We need to have way more fun. Is that, and that's in higher frequency again. We go to happiness and joy, but that it's only when you're smiling and when you change your whole body language. I'm sitting straight up a lot more now as well, because then you get excited and you just change completely and you have that big smile on your face and the spark in your eye. And that's what I saw even with my mom at that time. Her spark in her eye was back. She became the child, I became the mother, and vice versa. And we would do silly little things and we just laugh and cry and had all these beautiful moments because she was going back to being a child and I had to hold her in the mother energy. And that was beautiful. And I think, we don't do it enough. And fifthly, what you said as well, like with all the mental health, you need to go out of the environment where the problem is created. So if the problem is created at home or at work or at school or wherever that is, you also need to go away and do things differently. And that's what I've been doing all the time as well. It's like, okay, you need to go away. That's why we need a holiday. We always say we need a holiday because we're so stressed that we don't have time and all these kind of things. But you need to get out of the environment where the problem is created, because you can never solve it in the same situation. Because when you solve it, you have changed. And I've walked into so many events and everything else as well with my breathwork facilitation training. I clearly hear the facilitator saying to me, Nicolette, life will never be the same. Because I walked in this new environment as one person and I walked out 360 as a different person. That is the change I wanted to see in myself, but it didn't mean I couldn't be honoring all the beauty I already have in me. I don't need to change all the bad things to like good things. There is so much good in me already, but it was just opening my eyes to see it. And every time I walk into an event, and Marie, I know we're going into one tomorrow together, we will never be the same. We now not even the same as we were an hour ago. We change consistently. So instead of just looking for that big change, I need to have this breakthrough and I need to be completely different and my life needs to be upside down to change. Don't. Don't put that pressure on yourself, but take yourself out of your environment that you're in now and clearly look around. Is this working for me? Are the people who I'm around with not toxic? Is the food I'm eating not toxic? Is the practices I'm doing all clean and clear? Is everything I do in life, is that what I want to? If not, then change that part. Just change one little thing and it unfolds. But take a step out of your normal environment and see that from a different perspective and in a different place.
Just unmuting myself. I was like, oh, and the delays. But yeah, and this is why I also love retreats and doing new things, because it does take you out of the norm. And I think in my experience reflecting
Yeah.
back, can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Yes.
Nicole? Okay,
Yeah.
Flea can't. Can you hear us now, Flea? She's been taken out of the auditory world. Um, oh, okay. We'll keep talking. And she's back. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I've got it now.
Oh, beautiful. You had to physically leave us and
I
come
don't.
back.
Yeah. That's why I'm making faces. It's doing different things.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh. I love the
Bye. Sorry,
synchronicities, and
gotta
I love
go.
that we just get to laugh about it, because you could laugh or cry, you know?
yes.
But coming back to what you were saying about physically changing
Yeah.
whether it's like a work environment, or I think for me, I hadn't gone on a holiday, or I'd never gone on a women's retreat until I went through my own trauma and experience, and actually had to sit with myself and go, actually, in 36, 37 years of my life, I'd never had a holiday by myself. I went straight from school to uni to work to being a mum. Yes, I had family little breaks and holidays, but I'd never allowed myself the time to be with myself and other women. And so that journey of like fully, it was like phoenix moments of shedding these identities, shedding these expectations. And it was for me to step outside of that environment of what I felt was at that time holding me back, or feeling stagnant, or even not knowing. There was this whole like, I don't know who I am anymore. And I had to find myself again. And I had to go back into nature, and I say had to because it was an initiation for me. Because if I didn't, then I would still be suffering, and there'd be a whole other version of me that would, I don't know who she would be, but that's not the path that I was destined for. And this piece around, free will and destiny, and these paths that we get to also choose, was because I started like you reading different things and questioning and going, well, I'm going to gift myself this retreat and this
Mm.
experience to know myself again. Who am I? Who is Marie? What actually do I want? Do I still want to be a teacher? Do I still, like, who am I without the labels of being a teacher or a mother, or all those expectations? Which was, again, a very enlightening experience. And I fell in love with breath work, through that process. Like you, I became a breathwork facilitator, and I went through advanced training and understanding trauma through the breath, through the cellular level, understanding the science behind what's happening in the nervous system, and being able to explain that to help people that are going through mental health concerns, intergenerational trauma, understanding the body, because most of it, people are not breathing deeply enough, thus the anxiety. Half the problems, I feel, would be solved if we breathed properly and allowed our body to regenerate. But yeah, like yourself, learning new things and coming into that place of curiosity, I think, was really powerful. And I suppose for Flea and I, this is why we left mainstream education. We're still, in that world, but it's like we get to witness and see how we can shift and change that for others to step outside the box.
Yeah, and I think it's a beautiful realization. I had very similar when I look back on my lifetime, especially when you get a little bit older, you kind of go like, "Oh, what have I done?" And the reason I was in the luxury hotel business, that I love to hold the space and look after people and caring and nurturing for all that. We actually literally changed their life. We had so many of our guests giving us big hugs and just in tears when they were leaving us of the experience they had with us. I didn't even realize that at the time. It just came so natural to me. I didn't. That was not even on my radar to really dive deep in those kind of things. And then I became like, I want to be a guest myself because I want to experience it. Because I want to experience what the transformation is we given them. We haven't done anything. We've just been ourselves, but that's being of service and helping and unique environments, getting out of your own environment. And then I was like, how can I do that for myself? I need to be a guest. And that's when I started to go to retreats. And I, during my hospitality career as such, we always visited, our holidays were visiting retreats and hotels and staying there and experiencing what our guests experienced, but we wanted to experience for ourselves. So we truly understand what it meant to be on the other side of a guest, but also to have that change within us to another environment and place. And the retreats are just taking it to a whole new level. And people have been talking about it the last couple of years. It's gone ballistic in that respect, with so many people doing retreats. And as you know, we organize the whole retreat for you. So if you want to do it, don't worry, I'll take all the stress away and we do it all for you. But it is just that magnificent peace for yourself to be of service to others when they walk into a retreat, or whoever walks into a retreat will never be the same. They will come out completely changed. And people think it's a complete change. It might be a little change, that big change, when it's embodied and integrated. Whew, that is the change.
Yes, it definitely is. I was just waiting to see if Lee would glitch there, but even she can't. Yeah. But that just that moment of acknowledging that within our own lives and feeling that pause and feeling even that breath and those pivotal moments, I think, yeah, you've just hit it right nail on the head. And I think that's why we've really loved connecting with you as well. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what else will evolve and I suppose deepen when we connect with people at this level and awareness, and we get to then share these experiences with others, and I feel like even these retreat spaces, these immersive events where people can connect in community, these this is the way of really rapid, I think, transformation in a collective level. And yeah, I think Lee and I have really felt this shift as well in what we've co-created together. And I suppose even with this podcast, inviting those stories, inviting, people to go, well, actually, there's more of us than you think that have stories that are similar. And Flea was literally saying, like earlier when we were chatting with another new friend of ours, it's like it may feel like different stories, but there's actually still this same thread. And you mentioned these threads and the weaving that happens and trusting that process. How are you going there, Flea? Do we have sound for you? I don't know. I don't think she has sound. Oh no, we can't hear you. Poor
Oh,
Flea.
no.
Poor Flea. And the technology, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can make funny, silly faces.
And I think
Um,
that's what you said, Marie, is like the allowance as well, because it is in flow and you can't push anything. Um, you're not ready what you're not ready for. And that's what we always say. We can plant seeds. We can look back into what we have done in the past and kind of laugh about certain things and everything else. Take all the negative emotions away and everything and focus what we can do now, because we've got so many learnings. And I think that is what it is now as well. And when you step fully into who you truly are and you realign your soul and do your soul realignment and upgrade your DNA and your karma and on a stem cell your level to raise that frequency within your body and be in alignment with nature, and not just in alignment of like grounding and be in nature, but in tune with the earth frequency. That's where the change is happening. And we see that with so many more beautiful children who are so much more in tune with themselves and they not conditioned. And I always say, when people say, what do you do? I said, I delabel people. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you're not a teacher. You're not a general manager. You're not whatever you are. But the children, you don't need to delabel. And if we can keep them, not saying innocent, they still need to be evolving and still going through the emotions of the wave of the emotions, and be able to control it rather than being this big wave and then kind of calming little waves again. They need to be able to control that and manage that in that respect, but not control in a controlling way, in a flowy way. These children nowadays are so much more awake, aware, and conscious. And it's so beautiful. I have conversations with like 8, 9 year olds, and I go, my mind is blowing. Like my heart is full when I hear those conversations. And I'm like, where do you learn this? We didn't learn that at school. And that's what I think, like the school of the future, I call it, it's quantum human design. It's the quantum language we speak. It's the way we being is just we meant to be on this world. And I want to start a global quantum human design school. That's something,
oh,
I think
yes.
that's what it is now with the children. And a lot of us as parents, and I say us even if I'm not a parent, but my generation and even a generation just after me, the parents from now, they quite often don't see the beauty in the children, how awake and conscious they are, because they're not. So we still need to help them as well to raise that frequency what the children of the earth are on right now already when they're born. And the parents need to catch up. Most
Oh,
of them, not all of them, some of them.
yes. And I think what you just shared, we literally just spent hours, even this morning's beautiful guest and, our friend that we were talking to, this is what we're creating here.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to take as long as what it
No,
did in the past.
no.
And it can be done in just a simple breath if you can tap into the other parts and bring that in holistically. And yeah, we're so with you there in creating these paradigms that is new earth frequency, that is for the future legacies. And it's not just the 1 or 2 generations. This is for 7 generations beyond, of what we are leaving behind, and this legacy, this consciousness, this wealth consciousness of being abundance in each other's resources, in love, in gifting back with your skills, and with experiences, and tapping into your design, and Leona, I know she can't talk with her thing, but like we were talking about human design, and these multiversal languages that they're already gifted in. And I know we could probably talk a whole other hour
Yeah.
on this. Folks, if you have enjoyed this so far, please give us a like. And, these are the types of topics that we're going to be talking about at our summit in August, folks. So, quantum physics, new earth frequencies, remembrances from past lives, these beautiful gifts that we've tapped into for our own bodies, but like our children are already wired. The crystalline structures are already there. And I can see this beautiful symbolism that now is frozen for me. That, we get to invite more conversations around. And if more of us share these stories, so it's like all this, this is where we bring truth, integrity, our lived experiences, where the woo-woo and the logic blend and merge and weave together. So folks, if you're listening in, come and tune into our summit, 10th to the 14th of August. And Nicolette, if people have loved listening into you, how can they connect with you?
I'm just recreating, as we do every day, recreating a complete new website. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Nicolette Wyers.
Amazing. And her name is there. Oh, wait, I can't. My arrows are opposite. And, she is such a beautiful person. Just say hi. And, I hope you guys have enjoyed the tech fun and the synchronicities and all the beautiful threads that we've woven in today. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nicolette, for your time. And thank you, Flea, for your beautiful miming that's happening. I know the joys. That's all I'm going to say. And thank you so much, Nicolette. And we look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.